Dunkleosteus. Its appearance was the embodiment of terror, and rightly so. Its very form reflected its savage nature and the deadly threat it posed. Dunkleosteus was the largest marine predator of the Devonian period. The size of its head alone exceeded 3 feet. The total body length of adult specimens ranged from 15 to 20 feet, with a weight of at least 2,200 pounds. This was a massive, armored fish with a powerful body and a gigantic head covered in thick, bony plates, like nature's armor. Though the body was streamlined, its small fins made high-speed chases impossible. But Dunkleosteus didn't need speed. It relied on a single explosive lunge, followed by its devastating capture technique. This creature could open its mouth in just 20 milliseconds, creating a powerful suction force that pulled its prey inside before the jaws snapped shut in 50 to 60 milliseconds. Inside its mouth, there were no teeth awaiting the victim. Instead, Dunkleosteus had jaw plates with razor-sharp edges and fang-like projections. These jaws extended a biting force of 5 megapascal, comparable to the bite of an American alligator. Dunkleosteus simply crushed and swallowed whatever it caught. The ferocity of this predator is truly awe-inspiring. However, the next creatures we're about to highlight that inhabited prehistoric waters were just as unique. These creatures were called Rhizodus. It's one of those rare cases when evolution seemed to set out to create the perfect killer millions of years ahead of its time, and succeeded. Rhizodus belonged to the Rhizodontidae family, a group of predatory lobe-finned fish. For over 30 million years, they terrorized the other inhabitants of freshwater rivers and lakes. Adult specimens reached 20 to 23 feet in length and weighed between 4,400 to 6,600 pounds. Despite their massive size, these predators were remarkably fast. Their elongated, streamlined bodies tapered towards the tail, allowing them to move with great speed. Their fins, positioned toward the rear, complemented the powerful tail, acting as stabilizers. When attacking its prey, consisting of large fish, amphibians, and even early shark prototypes, Rhizodus employed its primary weapon, 2 front teeth in the lower jaw, reaching up to 10 inches in length. These slightly curved, fang-like teeth were ideal for gripping and holding onto prey. Behind these unique teeth were smaller ones, measuring 0.8 to 2.3 inches. Upon capturing its victim, Rhizodus did not immediately tear it apart. Instead, it dragged the prey to the bottom of the water body or into an underwater burrow. Additionally, its streamlined body suggests that this predator might have been not only capable of accelerating, but even lunging onto the shore to snatch prey. However, Rhizodus was not the only terrifying predator of ancient waters. Long before it, during the Devonian period, another formidable hunter roamed the seas, both in their gigantic size and terrifying appearance. They could be called prehistoric krakens, and encountering them was just as dangerous as facing the monstrous fish described above. One such creature was Rheonoceros. Rheonoceros was a cephalopod that lived around 325 million years ago, known for its unusual appearance. Its shell measured nearly 8 feet in length and was divided into chambers connected by a siphuncle, allowing it to regulate buoyancy. At the front were large eyes, a powerful beak, and long tentacles. Despite resembling a giant pipe with protruding tentacles, Rheonoceros was relatively peaceful. Unlike active predators, it preferred to lie in wait at the bottom, ambushing small fish and invertebrates. Its strong beak allowed it to crush the shells of trilobites. However, despite its size, Rheonoceros was vulnerable to faster predators such as giant armored fish. Looking further into the past, however, we find that its predecessor, Endoceros, was far more formidable. Living around 450 million years ago during the Ordovician period, Endoceros was significantly larger, faster, and more dangerous than Rheonoceros. Endoceros. Endoceras was another gigantic cephalopod with a shell that reached up to 26 feet in length, nearly 3 times that of its descendant Rhinoceros. Its shell was divided into chambers filled with gas for depth and buoyancy control. Endoceras also had numerous tentacles on the front of its body, but unlike Rhinoceros, it was a much faster predator. Its powerful beak allowed it to tear apart prey with ease, primarily hunting trilobites and giant Ordovician sea scorpions, the largest arthropod in history. One of its prey species, Jacalopterus, was itself a massive arthropod, reaching 8.2 feet in length, and yet it likely fell victim to Endoceras. With its sheer size and agility, Endoceras was one of the most dangerous predators of the Ordovician seas, dominating the waters for a long time. 250 million years later, its status as a giant cephalopod was inherited by Megateuthis, the largest known belemnite and one of the deadliest predators of its era. Megateuthis. It inhabited the seas that once washed the shores of modern-day Europe and Asia from the early to Middle Jurassic period. Resembling modern squids, Megateuthis belonged to the same subclass but had significant differences. Instead of long tentacles, its body was supported by an internal skeleton, forming a rigid cone that provided both durability and a hydrodynamic shape. Like other giant cephalopods, Megateuthis was impressive in size. The largest specimens reached 10.2 feet, making it one of the largest belemnites in history. If it existed today, it would rank 4th among the largest cephalopods. For many marine creatures, encountering this animal was a deadly threat. Its tentacles were covered in hundreds of sharp hooks, used to capture fish and small sea animals, while its powerful beak delivered painful bites, making it a formidable predator. Tens of millions of years later, in the early Cretaceous period, evolution continued its bold experiments, producing unique giant marine creatures. A key player in this process was the Western Interior Seaway, which once divided what is now the United States and Canada, as discussed in one of our previous videos. Alongside massive predators, its waters were a setting for the evolution of other giant mollusks, such as Tusoteuthis, a member of the Encoteuthidea family. Tusoteuthis encoteuthis. Tusoteuthis was initially thought to be related to the giant squid, and later to Vamperoteuthis infinalis, the vampire squid. But modern research suggests it was more closely related to octopuses. This mollusk was an active predator, hunting fish, other cephalopods, and possibly even marine reptiles. However, Tusoteuthis itself often became prey for large predators such as carnivorous fish and Mosasauridae, the apex predators of their time. One remarkable case involves the discovery of a fossilized Cymolichthys nephalian fish, whose esophagus contained the internal skeleton of a Tusoteuthis. This suggests the fish died while attempting to swallow the mollusk tail first, ultimately choking on it. The size of Tusoteuthis was long debated. Early estimates suggested it could reach 36 feet, but modern studies indicate that it likely did not exceed 10 feet in length. Its close relative, Encoteuthis, was nearly identical in appearance, hunting strategy, and size, also reaching around 10 feet. Together, they were among the largest mollusks of their time, but they did not hold the record among ancient cephalopods. The true apex predator was Camarasaurus, the top contender for the title of a prehistoric kraken. Camarasaurus kraken. The alpha predator of the Ordovician period, Camarasaurus terrorized marine life for 30 million years through sheer size alone. According to modern estimates, the largest specimens had shells reaching 36 feet in length. Since the shell accounted for 90% of the total body length, scientists suggest that the overall length of Camarasaurus could have reached 39 feet, making it the largest predator of its time. Camarasaurus belonged to the cephalopod group, which included modern octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish. This has allowed scientists to speculate about its anatomy and lifestyle. It had long tentacles growing from the base of its head, similar to cuttlefish, which it used to grasp and restrain prey. Inside its mouth was a powerful keratinized beak, capable of breaking through the shells of other orthoconic mollusks and even the exoskeletons of ancient sea scorpions. Modern cephalopods used a radula, a toothed tongue, to extract soft tissue from their prey shells, but it's unknown whether Camarasaurus had this adaptation. In addition to giant sea scorpions and other mollusks, it likely preyed on early jawless fish. In popular culture, Camarasaurus is often depicted as having poor eyesight, but this is just speculation, as no fossilized eyes have been found. However, since most cephalopods are highly visual predators, some even possessing vision superior to vertebrates, it's unlikely that Camarasaurus was an exception. Like many mollusks, it may have been capable of color vision and low-light adaptation, making it a fearsome hunter of ancient seas. These giant cephalopods, such as Camarasaurus with its elongated tubular shell, or Megateuthis resembling a massive squid, serve as striking examples of evolution's ability to produce truly colossal and terrifying creatures. The late Cretaceous period further confirmed this phenomenon, as its oceans became the perfect environment for giant squids and their relatives. One of the most notable locations for such evolutionary experiments was modern-day Japan, where paleontologists discovered two fossilized beaks significantly larger than those of the colossal squid, Mesonicoteuthis, which reaches 33 to 46 feet in length. These beaks were also larger than those of the giant squid Archaeteuthis, which has a potential maximum length of 65 feet. Researchers concluded that the fossils belonged to previously unknown prehistoric species of giant squids, which they named Haberoteuthis and Yesoteuthis. Based on the size of their beaks, it's possible that these creatures may have exceeded even the largest modern cephalopods, potentially surpassing 65 feet in length. If they really existed in prehistoric oceans, they would have closely resembled the massive octopus-like monsters seen in science fiction movies. However, scientists remain cautious and avoid making final conclusions, as the only evidence of these creatures is their beaks. While the beaks clearly indicate their owners were massive, without additional fossil remains, we can only speculate on their true size. One thing is certain, these mollusks and predatory fish occupied the top tiers of their respective food chains. Yet, despite their ferocity, their era eventually ended. Because in the prehistoric oceans, there were creatures even larger and deadlier. One such beast was a giant marine predator, whose weight was comparable with that of a bus, and whose tactics resembled those of crocodiles. Except